Good morning, Stitchy friends. Welcome to Mountain Crafts Studio. My name's Christine, and welcome to my cabin. Okay, so here we are at the front door. When you first walk in, you enter the main room of the cabin. We have a small area for coats and shoes. Obviously, there was no closets in 1830, which is when this cabin was built. I did a little holiday decorating. As you can see, the sampler on that wall, believe it or not, is actually just a print. I really just bought it for the frame. A lot of my stitching friends will be able to relate to that. This is kind of my little corner where I sit and work on projects and things. And I have my spinning wheel, and this is my stitching chair where I sit and do most of my stitching. I did make the quilt on the back of that chair. It's actually, for those who are quilters and are interested, you can still find that pattern at Country Sampler in Spring Green, Wisconsin. Currently working on a small sampler. I stitch with both hands, and I use this type of lap frame most of the time. The sampler I'm working on is called Miss Mary Yerger 1859. It's by Just Stitching Along. It's a freebie. You can go Google that and be able to find that, no problem. The quilt on the back of this chair was actually my very first hand quilting project. I took a course at a quilt shop in Indianapolis, Indiana, and completed that. It's just a wall hanging. It has 4 squares. The quilts at the top of the one on the right is an antique log cabin quilt, which is gorgeous. I found in Shipshewana, Indiana one year, and it had to come home with me. The coverlet on the left was actually purchased in Gatlinburg from a weaver there. It was so beautiful. I had to have it. Even though technically I can make it myself, I know how long it takes to make one of those. So moving on, we have Ethel, the cat, is taking up the middle space where that quilt next to her usually goes. That is by far my favorite quilt that I've ever made. It's a spools quilt with shirtings and prints from the Civil War era. It's cuddly and cozy, and I love it. I did make the pillows. I did not weave, actually, that particular one. I purchased that one, if I remember correctly. I did not make these rugs either. But most everything else in this house you'll see in it, whether rugs or anything like that, was made by me. This little tiny quilt was actually made by one of my grandmothers. And I keep it here just to do a little decorating. The kitchen was an addition. You'll notice there is a step down into the kitchen. It's hard to believe all your living was done in that one little room in 1830, but we have, this is more what I would call vintage than original, but we do have the old sink with a drain board, which I love. It's one of my absolute favorite things about the house. I did weave the dish towels, made the curtains. We do use the stove sometimes, but we do have a modern stove as well, because this is in the deep south and it gets really warm in the summer. This stitched piece over here was actually, I found it in a thrift store and had to have it come home with me. I do rescue a lot of textile pieces. This is the pantry or buttery, whatever you want to call it. This is a tiny little room off the kitchen. It would have been a work room and a place to store food. I've recently added this baker's cabinet, which I love. The pie safe actually is a family heirloom. We've had it in our family since it was first manufactured. And I love it. I actually have, from that same family, we have a rope bed upstairs, which I'll show you. This is just the bathroom. We do have to have modern necessities when we are here. Makes it nice and convenient. There is Rosie going on the tour with us. So this piece is an actual antique sampler. I'll see if I can get in here so that you can see it without the lights. Not really. I'll try to get it up close later. It's a very pretty little sampler. Unfortunately, it only lists her name, Louisa Fisher, aged 8, and there's no location or date on that. So I have not been able to do any tracking or find out any history about Louisa. So that's it for the ground floor. That's as big as it is, but we can go upstairs. The steps are the original steps, and none of them are the same size, so it's tricky. You have to learn which step is tall and which is short. This is just one large open room, loft type area. I'm gonna turn around just a little bit so you can see the steps we just came up. One of my favorite coverlets on the right side there. It's just beautiful. And a gorgeous old log cabin sampler that I love. That is purchased as well. This is one of my great wheels, which I do actually use when I'm spinning. This is a wool piece that I did many years ago. I can't recall the name of the pattern. Well, the name of the pattern is Bountiful Blessings. I don't remember who the manufacturer was. This is the rope bed that I mentioned that was also in our family. The quilt, this particular quilt I made, the wool crazy quilt was made by one of my grandmothers. I did weave the fabric for the pillow, the red pillow there. And there's a hooked rug on the wall. That actually, I found that in an antique store, being sold for pennies in comparison to what it should have been. And there is a tick at the bottom that I found the cover by chance. Someone overheard me talking about some Civil War reenacting that my son was doing, and they wanted to know. They said they had something that looked like it was from the Civil War and would I want it? I'm like, yeah. This little quilt with the bear was just some squares, vintage square pieces that I found at a thrift store, and so I put them together and made a cute little, it's kind of a crib size, maybe a little bit bigger. Super cute. This particular rug on the floor I found in an attic many years ago, probably 25, 30 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. They absolutely wear like iron. It's amazing. Another quilt that I made here on this particular bed. And another wool piece, I guess. I also made the curtains in this room. I guess there's more here than I thought. That was a fun wool applique piece. And then if you watched my first episode of Floss Tube, you would have seen a picture of me wearing a little dress, and that's the little dress and bonnet. And my Singer, actually it's standard, it was what Singer was before it became Singer. And another wool applique piece. Super cute. Another rug. And that's it. This is, it's not a luxury estate by any means. And you have to imagine when you're looking around that this would have actually, this cabin was originally in Tennessee along the Duck River, and he dismantled it, brought it to where its current location is, and then rebuilt it. When he did, he added another large log. You can see right here. It's another 2 foot taller than it would have been. It would have been very cramped up here. Your headspace would have felt very small to be sleeping up here, but I guess that's all they did was sleep, so. They didn't do a lot of recreation in this part of the building, I wouldn't think. Okay, and we'll end on Maud showing how skinny she is.